For years, the passionate Dutch fans have been easy to find trackside at races across Europe and throughout the world. Now, at long last, they have a Grand Prix to call their own. It's a warm welcome once again to all of our viewers in the Netherlands and around the globe as we get underway for the Dutch Grand Prix. 2.6 miles then make up a lap here at a wet Zandvoort circuit, where some tricky braking zones and sudden drops can make it all too easy to slide off into the gravel. There are 14 corners overall and a 678-metre main straight, providing the best chance for overtaking. Joining me for the Grand Prix once again is Anthony Davidson. Can we talk about Mercedes? We have a number of changes to the aerodynamic regulations this year, and the signs haven't looked good for them so far in terms of getting to grips with those changes.
It doesn't look promising for them so far. And if the new regs have hit them as hard as we think, well, I suspect they may need a few late nights at the factory to get back on track.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. An immense lap from Lewis Hamilton yesterday puts him on pole position, and Max Verstappen lines up alongside. Considering the rest of the grid, we have a Red Bull, Leclerc, Valtteri Bottas, and Stroll, Ricciardo, Perez, Vettel, and Esteban Ocon, Gasly, Norris, Carlos Sainz, and Latifi, Giovinazzi, Magnussen, George Russell, and Roman Grosjean. Kvyat and Kimi Räikkönen finishes off the grid. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out. Then let's see who can prevail today.
It's very wet here. It's Max Verstappen's home race to 5 red lights for the Dutch Grand Prix. And it's lights out and away we go. Max Verstappen gets a good start, but so does Lewis Hamilton. We get away decently. We're already trying to make us some positions at the start. We go around the outside of our teammate. We're side by side with him now. We get ahead, and Max Verstappen is down to P3. And Lewis Hamilton got away well, and now Sebastian Vettel is going side by side with Valtteri Bottas. It's very, very wet here in the Netherlands, and Charles Leclerc does not have the pace to get past the Mercedes at the start. But he will be very keen to get past Valtteri Bottas, because if he can, he'll be in a good spot later on in this race. But he has to manage his tires well. Lewis Hamilton leads from us. Then comes Max Verstappen. Then comes Valtteri Bottas, and then the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc, and then I think Sebastian Vettel is dropping positions down. I thought that was Sebastian Vettel going side by side with the Mercedes, but it turns out it was Charles Leclerc. And Max Verstappen is starting to close up to us as we ride on board with the home favorite. It's his home Grand Prix. As you can see, all those orange fans, all those Dutch fans here for Max Verstappen. And he can get a win here if he gets a move on in this early stages of the race. But for now, it's Lewis Hamilton out in front, us in P2. Around the banking. And we will have a good slipstream, no DRS until lap 3. But even so, it's raining here, so definitely no DRS. And down the inside we go. This is for the lead, and we are up into the lead past Lewis Hamilton. So we are in the lead while our home favorite teammate is down in P3. So hopefully he can make up some positions. And that's going through turn 1. And that's Max Verstappen. And he's going slowly. Is that a problem with this car? It is. So he's out of this race, and Max Verstappen, the home favorite, he could have won this race, and that is so unfortunate. So while we lead, Max Verstappen is out of this race. As you can see, all of the Dutch fans there in the crowd, all that orange, are here for him. In the final corner now, it's very dry, so we will pit along with Lewis Hamilton, and I'm sure a bunch of other drivers as well, to get off of these old intermediate tires, as they are much slower than the soft compound tires which we go onto, and so does Lewis Hamilton. We're both on the soft compound tires, trying to go to the end, trying to make it stretch. So we'll see how that works out for us. And ahead, into the lead goes Sergio Perez, but he's on intermediate, so let's see if these are the right tire, and if they are, we should blast past him. And yes, that was one of the easiest moves we've ever had to make, going through the first banking, and we're already making up a lot of time on him. So these are the right compound tires. I'm surprised that he didn't pit at the end of that lap, so he may be screwed for the rest of this race. Here comes Lewis Hamilton. He's closing up on us. He's been closing up on us. For the past couple laps, we go a little bit wide, and that invites Lewis Hamilton to go to the inside. And it's a drag race, and he has DRS, but he's just a little bit too far back. So we're doing a very good job defending from Lewis Hamilton. And we don't have our teammate Max Verstappen to try to fight Lewis with us, so it's all alone. And we have the entire Red Bull team on our shoulders right now as we go through the banking, and Lewis will have DRS, so he in slipstream, and I'm sure Rich Mixon overtake as well. As down the straight we go, he pulls to the left. We're side by side going into turn one. Who's the later breaker? We are. So we stick it to the inside, and we just stay ahead of Lewis Hamilton, but he's really putting on the pressure now on those soft compound tires. He's looking very, very strong in the end parts of this race as we lock up a little bit, but he's just a little bit too far back to benefit off that. As we get through the hairpin, and we lock up a little bit, we touch the dirt, and that allows Lewis Hamilton to close up, and he's right next to us, and we just stay ahead, but he's got a lot of pace, and he goes to round the outside. If he can make this move stick, it's going to be a great move. We just squeeze him. Lewis Hamilton's on the outside. He gets a watch of understeer, and he just keeps it in a straight line as he touched the grass and all that dirt over there, so he lost the rear a little bit, and that'll really invite us to keep ahead, but we go a little bit wide, and so he sticks it around the outside, but we just stay ahead, and this is a great battle as it's a drag race, and he will have DRS, but I have a feeling that he'll be too far back, and yes, he is. On the exit, we lose the rear end quite a bit, and now that invites Lewis Hamilton to dive it down the inside, and we just stay ahead as he gets all out of shape on the curbs, and that was a very close call. Around the final corner now, we've led from start to finish, and now we can start celebrating because we have one more corner to go, and we finish the Grand Prix in P1. We win the Dutch Grand Prix here in the Netherlands. Our teammate Max Verstappen, it's heartbreak for him as he had a DNF, none to the fault of his own, but we take victory in the Netherlands. A great race for us, wet to dry.
A difficult race then on a circuit that demands complete concentration, but they've persevered to take the win here today. Anthony Davidson, what helped them deliver this result, do you think?
I think that smart tyre management on track and very smooth driving definitely assisted in their victory today. That combination meant they got the absolute maximum out of their tyres at all times.
Red Bull put up an outstanding fight for the front position today, and it's great to see it paid off for them. They do so much for the sport that you can't help but be delighted by today's race win.
We extend our championship lead with a win with 25 points. Then comes Lewis Hamilton, Sebastian Vettel, Charles Leclerc, Valtteri Bottas. Then comes Ricardo Ocon, and then comes Lance Stroll, Carlos Sainz, Pierre Gasly, Nicholas Latifi, Sergio Perez, and then comes Lando Norris. Time for our post-race interview after the Dutch Grand Prix. Yeah, it was a great race. I was struggling in the beginning because it was very wet, but even if I was struggling, we had a lot of pace. So the car didn't feel great in the early stages of the race. Even if we were the fastest car on track, it didn't feel very stable, but I managed to keep it in a straight line and managed to win the race. And Lewis gave me a battle all race long, so it was a great battle with him. Bummer for Max. Hopefully he can come back next weekend better than before, but it's his home race, so it was unfortunate for him, and hopefully next weekend he can do better, because I know that he's got a lot of pace in him, and he just couldn't really show it today.